So let us try out itong Rock Island Armory Defense RD1. So hello mga kaibigan, ako po si Guns Pinoy at ngayong araw titingnan natin ang Rock Island Armory Defense RD1 at kasama natin si Sir Daniel Tuason.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Salamat din sir for taking this time to be with us today. Sir, pwede mo ba kaming bigyan ng konting information about this Rock Island Armory Defense RD1?
Sure. First of all, Rock Island Armory Defense, just to clarify, is our new brand. We started it because we realized that most of the weapons systems being provided to the law enforcement and military community in the Philippines is from overseas. That being said, the problem we face is that the products are not being made particularly to cater to the community that will be using it. So we have weather conditions that are different, missions that are different, threat levels that are different. So we wanted to create a company and a brand that consults and works with the law enforcement and military community to provide a product that fixes and mitigates the problems that they're facing. So let's start with the RD1. Initially, we started with the concept of updating the STK100 into a more upgraded version. In the process of doing this, we discovered that the product really needed a lot of engineering changes in order to become more suitable for missions and military use and law enforcement use. I'm not saying that the STK100 is not a good pistol. I'm just saying that it derives a closer relation to a competition pistol than it does to a military pistol. What do I mean by that? That means that we had to get rid of the slide cuts, for instance, because slide cuts, while they allow you to shoot faster, also allows the sand, mud, snow, and water to enter the pistol and can jam it. So we had to get rid of that. The other example is that our barrel had to be a little longer and heavier because we had to change the rifle twist to allow for defensive loads and subsonic loads. And so additionally, we included a 1/2 by 28 threaded barrel for sound suppressors when the mission requires it. Then we dove in a little deeper and had to improve some of the cavities inside. In the event sand and dust goes inside, the end users typically will require a endurance test and a sand, mud, accuracy test. There's a whole list of tests that are conducted prior to delivering to a government agency. So this is something we do all the time. We typically run an endurance test between 6 to 20,000 rounds all the time, and we pass it, no problem. The other thing that we recognized when doing it was why aluminum versus polymer. We talked to several agencies, not one, but perhaps about 5, that confidentially told us that they have a big problem with firearms exploding. And we've tried to figure out what the root cause was. We read some reports and they were across the board. Some of them were because of poor maintenance, but a lot of them were because generally the operators don't have, enough ammunition allocated to them, which means that they reload a lot of their ammunition. And sometimes they do a poor job, which when you might know when they're firing can lead to critical failure. And some of these times, it's so dangerous that several of them have almost lost their eye due to the firearm just ripping apart. So we said, DOST, MIRDC, can you help us figure out what a good material to make this a safer weapon system for our operators, right? And we went through carbon steel, too heavy. We went through several kinds of polymers. And when we got to aircraft grade aluminum, we ran the tests. As we ran crushing tests, pulling tests, and we found that we're looking at up to 300% stronger. So much more resilient to any ammunition exploding inside, meaning your operator is safer. We figured we're going to run it at aluminum. 5% heavier, but 300% safer and stronger. So we felt that the trade-off is much better. The other thing that we included in here was suppressor height tritium night sights.
Okay.
So it's very important for our operators to be able to have a complete and accurate sight picture at night. This is about a 10,000 peso or $200 option when you're looking at upgrading a pistol. So I think that really brought in some value to the new weapon system. The other thing is it already has an optics ready cut. So depending on the plate you put in, you can have a complete sight picture with optics. So your optics run dead, you've got backup suppressor height sight. So you can actually see through the glass and still get a full sight picture. Let's go through a couple more upgrades we did. We have interchangeable grip panels, which right now are made of aluminum, but we're hoping soon we'll have available rubber ones that you can swap in and out with different sizes. The finish of the pistol, at least the slide and the barrel, was done in a Armor Lube, which is a form of DLC. It's the best form of DLC as it provides the most amount of lubrication, less protection to the weapon. And I'm not saying that you don't have to put lubricant, but what I mean is that at the molecular level, the firearm has this dry lubricity. You don't have to add lubricant to the weapon as much or as often. Why do you want to avoid doing that? In the field, when you're in operation, you want to lubricate enough, but not too much, because dust and other particles tend to stick to the lubricant and provide a situation where it's more likely for you to jam. So this kind of finish means that you can provide the bare minimum to keep that gun running smoothly, but at the same time, reduce your chances of failure. The great part about that finish also is that it's incredibly hard. One of the tests that we conduct with the end users is a marking test, a tool test. So they start stabbing and striking the gun to see if there's any scratches. None. That's part of the tests that we have to conduct. One of the main features of this gun is its ability to adapt to its environment. We spoke to a lot of end users and they reiterated to us that they have ultimately a very changing threat level depending on the mission. So when we asked them to describe what the situations were, there were several. Some of them were boarding vessels, and some of these foreign countries that have been in our area, there might be scenarios where they have to board vessels. That being said, almost all nation state, military, armed forces, coast guards, they all wear body armor, at least level 3. So if you're ever in a scenario of boarding vessels and you're needing to clear very tight galleyways, it's very difficult to do that with a rifle. So they told us that they need a pistol that can penetrate body armor. So we went to the R&D lab and we figured that we need to upgrade the ability of the sidearm. So we decided to work with the 22 TCM round. Since it already provides 2,200 feet per second, we felt that this is the closest we're going to get. We ran the tests and it did not puncture body armor. Contrary to popular belief, the standard 22 TCM does not. So we started working with penetrators and we ended up leaning on the SS-109 penetrator, which is commonly found in the 5.56 rifle. So the SS-109 is implanted into the projectile used for the 22 TCM, and we started running tests on that. We were able to puncture level 3, not 3A, level 3, which means that it's a much stronger penetrator and ammunition than even the 5.7 or the MP7 can provide. So competitively at that point already, we're like, wow, this is a better round for close quarters armor-piercing technology than Heckler & Koch or FN could provide. And we said, well, how do we package this into a pistol? Because at the end of the day, the issue also in this country that not a lot of foreign countries are facing is budget constraint, right? It's a reality. How do we provide better value for our customers? So what we decided to do is package this in a way that the end user could pick what barrel they wanted, what conversion kit they wanted. So we packaged it with a conversion kit. Depending on the mission, orientation, and threat level, they can decide to run a 9mm, or if they're going out to a mission that is higher threat level, they can, with just a switch of a barrel and a spring, with the same magazine, they're now firing armor-piercing 22 TCM AP. And you have two guns in one. And the better part about it is that you're going to be able to train for much cheaper. You know, typically, if you want to run an armor-piercing round, you have the choice of a 5.7 or an MP7. The price of a 5.7 ammunition is about 90 pesos a round. So we're providing like two guns all at once and reduction in operational costs. We felt that as a package really does provide some value to the end user. It's not just a striker-fired pistol. It's got the ability to switch between armor-piercing and not. It's got a safer operational frame. It's got improved tolerances so that you can run it in snow, dust, mud. This really is what we imagine as the ideal law enforcement pistol and military pistol for this country.
All right. So thank you again, Sir Daniel.
Thank you also very much.
Yes, that was very informative. Thank you.